Hey guys, as always, thanks for stopping by. Got 5 things to go through really quickly, and then we're headed to MISSISS. I kiss my poot tootie, IPPI. Here we go. Hey, a big thank you to all of y'all for crushing those thumbs up. I say it every video, but it's a huge help, so thanks for getting the message out there. If you think I've earned it, I'd appreciate a subscribe. That's a help as well. But again, a big thank you to all of y'all for those thumbs up. Appreciate y'all. I'll tell you who is not a sponsor of this episode is shallnotcomply.com. Y'all have cleaned them out. There's a few things left on the website. I'll put a link down below to it, but later this week they've got a couple new shirts coming out, and then I think hats are going to be in a few more weeks. It's a lot going on with them. I'll keep y'all up to date, but I mention all of that because I want to put some of y'all right up here coming soon. If you will tag me in social media, I will get your pictures up there. Can't wait to see y'all in your Shall Not Comply gear. That should be fun. Been editing video all day today. Yesterday, I filmed all day for Pew Pew Tactical, and I've been doing a lot in the last couple days, so I've been away from y'all since midweek. I am now updated. I put on my headphones earlier, got a plate of Mexican food, and I just went through all of my sources. I am up to date. I got 5 things I briefly want to get onto your radar, just things that you need to know what's going on. We won't go into detail. You can chase them if you'd like. And then I want to go to Mississippi because, it's a bad one, and I'm not happy about it. Put the kids away. This one could get bad. Bad for me is not all that bad. All right, here we go. 5 things. 1, California. You got to have a background check to purchase ammo there until this week, and then you didn't have to have a background check. And now you have to have a background check again. It's a big carrot they're dangling. It's a mess. The circus judge got involved. My buddy Reno May has been covering it. Mr. Guns and Gear, my friend Mike, he's been covering it. And my buddy Jared has been covering as well, Guns and Gadgets. So people are talking about it, but just be watching that. What happens in California can and often does affect the rest of the country. Y'all remember Duncan Lemp? He's the young man, and we're not going to forget his name. His name was Duncan Lemp, and he was the one that was shot through the exterior wall of his house by a law enforcement officer. Of course, that law enforcement agency, they absolved themselves. They said absolutely no wrongdoing. Explain to me that one. Now, we don't know the whole story, but how did they absolve themselves of a crime? How were they the actual perpetrator and the judge on that one to judge themselves non-liable? It's a mess. We're watching. Yesterday, on Saturday, there was a protest to just acknowledge what happened to the kid. The police got involved. There were some arrests. Even Duncan Lemp's own parents were threatened with arrest. So I'm watching that one. But I mention it not to go through the details, but just to say his name is not forgotten. We are watching, and we want the rest of the story. Up third, a lot of times people will say, well, the NRA or the FPC or the GOA, they need to sue a particular government over different situations, and that's not always how it works. Often, these organizations, they will gird up and strengthen and go to court in the name of an individual who stands up. So an individual within a jurisdiction has to stand up and sue, and then these organizations will help them. Well, some of the organizations will. Firearm Policy Coalition is one of them. Fantastic group of guys. And they currently, right now, have sent out the word. They are looking for folks who have been affected. Their Second Amendment rights have been affected during this trying times that we're in. And if your Second Amendment rights have been taken away from you by infringement by local, state, or federal government, the FPC is watching that. So if you're in a place to sue, they're going to be helping folks out. So they put a call out for that. You can check them out. They're easy to find. That's number 3. Number 4. We've talked about how the Phase 4 of the stimulus package might have some anti-gun legislation attached onto it or inserted into it. Well, good news, it's not. And I don't know if we made a difference or what happened. I know there was a lot of things turning on that one, but it looks like we're okay on that one. That is good news. Several weeks ago when we talked about that, a bunch of y'all down in the comment section got fired up and said, Johnny, you didn't tell us the language. The bill hadn't been written yet. So now that we know what's in the bill, it's not there. Again, I find that as good news. Finally, before we go to Mississippi, I'm on a roll. Now, I don't want to touch this one too heavily, but the CEO of YouTube has come out and put pressure on all creators that if we say anything about the If we say anything about that that doesn't line up with the World Health Organization, then we're going to get a channel strike. If you don't know what a channel strike is, it's bad, real bad. So we have an American company that has bowed to the globalist nonsense and said they are now going to follow the guidelines and require creators to follow the guidelines of a World Health Organization, bunch of nut jobs. And it's a complete and utter mess. You have people that are not medical professionals, not researchers, not doctors, making major decisions on what we can and cannot say. So that's on my radar. All right, let's go to Mississippi. This gentleman's name is Shockway Antara Lumumba, and it's a mouthful. I did double check that, but you pronounce it Lumumba. And he is the mayor of Jackson, Mississippi. And he has now decided that he is the one to judge who can and cannot open carry. Well, he judges that nobody can open carry now. He has laid down an executive order that all open carrying has now been suspended in Jackson, Mississippi. One dude has now taken away the Second Amendment rights. Shall not be infringed. Shall not be infringed. And one dude is trying to do some stepping on the sneck. And he released, I'll put a link down to his video, released a 3 or 4 minute video. I've watched it today. And it is a bunch of utter, it's complete propaganda. What does he go into? Well, he's thinking of the children. How many children have to die before we take the rights away of law-abiding citizens? And I know anytime I say the word law-abiding, y'all get upset. We'll just call them citizens. How many children have to die? And he goes through that whole child thing. Even in the articles that have been written by the mainstream press about this, they are listing out all of the different situations going on in Jackson where gunfire has been used in crimes. So there's crimes going on in Jackson. There is, and specifically, crimes involving firearms in black and brown communities, minority communities. And what does the mayor do? He takes the rights away from law-abiding citizens or citizens. I don't want to chase the law-abiding thing. I know y'all get stirred up. So he cites gun violence. He cites the children. And then the other big reason he goes through is this. He says that the law enforcement of Jackson, they need to have open carry taken away so that they can seize all guns that they see on the street. They need to be able to seize guns on the street because the open carrying by legal citizens, it eliminates the ability of law enforcement to seize illegal guns. So his method, and he says this out loud, like it's almost like a Saturday Night Live skit. If me and you got together and we say, let's write something completely ludicrous about how the left thinks about gun control, this is what we would write. This is specifically what we would write. For the children. Let's do it for the kids, to protect the children. How many children have to die before we take the rights away from law-abiding citizens? It's specifically what we would say as a joke, and he goes through it, and he's not a dumb guy. I know that some of y'all will type, oh, he's an idiot. Oh, he's not an idiot. I looked at his background. I looked at his resume, or at least looked at his education stuff. This dude is sharp, like sharp. He has a Juris Doctorate degree. He's got a bachelor's degree from legit places. Now, the guy is also, Lumumba, is also tied directly to Michael Bloomberg. Shocking. Like, nobody will talk about this. You're not going to hear that anywhere else. The guy is tied directly to Michael Bloomberg, and he's tied to Bernie. It's a complete and utter bunch of nonsense. I said at the beginning that I'm going to call it MISSISS. I kiss my poot tootie. Well, Lumumba, you can kiss my poot tootie. And I do mean that. This is a family-friendly channel, but this one gets me fired up. Taking the rights of law-abiding citizens, don't chase that one too far. He says this, that, well, he goes through all this stuff about how there's illegal firearms.
10 seconds later.
All right, there we go. Hey, my camera cut off and I'm jumping right back in here. I don't know. Here we go. We got problems, but I'm going to keep on rolling. One thing that Lumumba says is that he's pro 2A, ... and he says the words. He says, I'm pro 2A, but. And I'm going to disagree with that, giving that one a hard no. This guy's not pro 2A. This is a liberal propagandist who is literally in the place right now of chipping away at our freedoms. We talk about these people all the time, those in the left, those that are propagandists, those that are absolute progressives that are here to tear down the Constitution. Very rarely can we point a finger and say there is one. Well, I'm telling you, in Jackson, Mississippi, there is one. He kept talking, and he being Mayor Lumumba, he kept talking about that there were illegal guns on the street and we need to protect people and there's a crime wave. And his response to a crime wave is to take the rights of citizens to be able to bear arms. Now, some people, I'm not big on hypotheticals, but some people may say, well, citizens still have the right to concealed carry. What if there's a citizen, and this is not a straw man. I think this is valid. I've been thinking about this. Not a straw man, not some random hypothetical. There are probably, and a reasonable person could assume there are citizens that don't have a concealed carry permit, but they own their firearm legally, or they don't own a firearm that's able to be concealed because it's simply just too big. And there's violence in the communities. He said it himself. There's violence in the minority communities. And what does this do? This strips the minorities of being able to protect themselves. Now, final point and a question for y'all. Mayor Lumumba keeps saying that he's here to protect people. And his laws, by writing these laws on the books, would protect people. It's not a law in this case. It's an executive order, but it's now the law of the land, at least temporarily. Murder is already illegal. It's already illegal to take a firearm and cause harm to another person, or to take your fisticuffs and cause harm to another person. Yet, he believes and wants us to believe. I don't really think he believes it. I think he knows exactly what he's doing. Why? Because of the Michael Bloomberg ties. The guy knows what he's doing. I watched an interview he did just recently in promotion of Bernie, and this dude is not just a progressive. This is a radical activist. And he thinks, he wants us to believe. I know he doesn't believe it, but he wants the public to believe that by him writing an executive order that keeps people safe. Well, killing is already illegal. More laws on more books changes nothing. All it does is strip citizens of the rights to protect themselves. Shall not be infringed. Now let me ask you this. Here's my question for y'all. Does that have application in your hometowns? I know that sometimes we focus on one small community, but it doesn't really have application to greater areas. I think it does. I think this is a person we need to watch. Too often we don't see the face of the left. They're more like the nameless left. Or they're those people, those progressives, those leftists, the people out in California. Well, right here in the South, God's country, we have got a propagandist who is messing stuff up for the rest of us. This is why we can't have nice things, y'all. It's a mess. I would love to hear your response right down below. You can leave a comment, and I'll read probably almost every one. And to Mayor Chokwe Lumumba, from my cold, dead hands, bye.